what Israel is doing has really been damaging Jews around the world. You know that because now criticism of Israel gets labeled as anti-Semitic, and so now we have this rise in anti-Semitism because people are openly criticizing what Israel's doing,
Yeah.
and then they immediately conflate that it must be because you hate Jews. It doesn't have anything to do with well, we're not okay with what Israel is doing to its neighbors and the genocide in Gaza. No, it's somehow that you just hate Jewish people, and so I just feel like if you're a Jew that doesn't live in Israel, doesn't really have a connection to Israel, don't support it, you just be like, I hate these guys. They're giving me a bad name.
Yeah,
People,
well, there's
people say
right. Well, there's no question about that. They're Jews, especially young Jews, an increasing number of them are reacting in just that way. And I think probably the best example is Max Blumenthal. He's just about the harshest critic of Israeli Jews and Zionist Jews that you can hear. Yeah, he makes it absolutely clear, I want to have nothing to do with these people. And we have to bring them down. They're just. Yeah, we just need more people.
But
like
okay,
that.
but okay, but the elite is just in lockstep. So it sounds like so basically, what you're telling me is that I don't think we can kind of hope for any type of reining in of Israel anytime in the near future. The only thing that's going to stop Israel, it's going to be Iran. It's going to be the axis of resistance. And then the question is just how far is the U.S. willing to go to
I don't think
things
are like things really haven't changed. It's just the previous or the Biden administration has been fully on board with everything that Israel has done. They've just done some hand wringing. It's just made a show of concern, but they keep on delivering the bombs. And it'll just continue when Trump takes over. I don't know. I don't think that it's. I mean, how can the policy be more pro-Israel than it is now? There's just it's not going to change.
If you look at the Zion,
I know, but I think that's
space, they said
I can't see how
they make it sound like right. They just make it sound like Biden is this huge anti-Semite that is destroying Israel.
Okay. That's just exactly a mirror image of what I was talking about, like the Europeans that are going crazy about Trump's election. Oh, it's all over, and for NATO and whatever. Yeah, it's the same thing. That was always nonsense. I remember seeing it. Biden has been like the most pro-Israel president that we've ever had. He's given him absolutely everything. So that was a bunch of nonsense. I mean, Trump himself said all these things too about Biden and Harris. That they're basically Hamas supporters or whatever. But it's just beyond absurd. But it's just it gets the other side. The Zionists, a certain number of them get real excited about it, and they think that there's actually something to it, that somehow, there's some sort of substantive difference there when there really isn't.
Right. Didn't Trump call Biden? He's like a Palestinian, not a very good one. It's like, what does that even? What, I don't even know what he's meaning. The whole thing is wild. So I was going to bring this up, but it sounds like I already know your answer, but I'm going to say it anyway. So. Blinken was in Brussels yesterday, and he gave a statement to journalists and said, Israel said that it needed to dismantle the military organization of Hamas and to get the leadership that was responsible for October 7th. It's done both of those things, so this should be a time to end the war. Yeah. So he says that.
Yeah, I think he actually means it. I think actually, like the Biden administration would be happy if Netanyahu just ended the war in Gaza. He's made similar statements in the past. When Sinwar was killed, he made a statement. This now is time to declare victory and go home. And I think that's actually as far as it goes, that's very good advice. It would have been good for Netanyahu and good for Israel if they had done that. The thing is that he's just not going to ever back it up. It's just like, Netanyahu will ignore him, as he always does, when he receives that kind of advice. And there will be no consequences. The U.S. will continue to support him 100%. And Blinken will, too.
I just don't understand. Yeah, I just don't understand it. Like, you get all these ultra-Zionists in there. Do they just all believe that they can just ethnically cleanse the the Palestinians. I mean, Adelson, I think, was saying that she wants this 100 million. She wants to annex the West Bank.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's a real
that's
possibility.
A recipe for
right. It could happen.
I mean, that's a recipe for just all-out conflict and just definitely a prolonged conflict, and it's going to just continue to bring down Israel. It seems like these people don't even want. Are they aware of the risk that this presents to Israel, or they don't even care? Are they just we'll just go all in?
No, they clearly have a sense of invincibility. I mean, that's been built up over the decades, and for a long time, Israel really did appear to be invincible. It had no real rivals in the region. When it fought a war, it generally won the war very quickly. There was a 6-day war in 1967. The big exception actually was the Yom Kippur War, which was in 1973, I believe, and they were in danger of losing that war. It was against conventional armies, Egypt, Jordan, Syria. And it was only because of an air bridge established by the U.S., just pumping in all kinds of supplies that they were able to hold off the threat. But after that war, they acknowledged, okay, yeah, we're not quite as strong as we thought we were. And they actually did cede some of the land that they had seized during the 6-day war back to Egypt. But what followed that was that, okay, eventually really the U.S. and Israel kind of took control of Egypt and of Jordan. So we see these very subservient governments. They've bought them off so that both of these countries have become just dependent on the U.S. and therefore Israel. So they no longer are a threat. And so again, for the last 30 years or so, they just haven't had any rivals in the region, and they just had the sense of invincibility. Now, I think it's just, again, like we've said, that reality often gets ahead of people's consciousness. They still think they're invincible. Clearly, they're not. First of all, Hezbollah is really doing a number on them in South Lebanon. I mean, they're being humiliated by Hezbollah as far as I can tell. And then they've been humiliated by Iran, too. They've managed to cover it up, through censorship and manipulation of the media. But that era of invincibility has come to an end. It's just that most Israelis and American Zionists don't understand that. So they just think that there's just no downside. We'll just take it. It's just the way we've just showed too much restraint in the past. It's time to simply take this land, and they can't really see any consequences for that. But I think there could be very serious consequences.